What's up? It's Marco back on the Stage of Soccer channel. Today I'm going to be doing my preview and predictions for Matchweek 10 of the Premier League. If you want to get to a certain game, I got timestamps in the description. But just jumping into it first, we got Crystal Palace against Newcastle. And, I saw a tweet talked about this game from HLTCO, the Palace account. But it was, somehow both teams ended up with 31% possession in a 0-0 draw. And geez, I could see that happening. There is a big deficiency in creativity in these sides, especially with Zaha being out, Callum Wilson, not too sure about him being back yet. But just looking at Crystal Palace, I think I mentioned creativity. They need to get some creativity in this game. Really wasn't showing too much. I know they have guys like Yara Riedewald, Eze, even Andros Townsend. All of them, one of them needs to step up and be able to really create for them. The bigger thing I think is defensive solidity if they want to get a point. It's probably the most likely scenario. Their defense has been really good this year. Last week, Kiyata made a bit of a mistake, and I don't think it's been the same since Gary Cahill's been injured. But I think that they have the ability to really keep a shutout, and I think they can do that against this Newcastle team. And just lastly, fill the Zaha role, because Palace, when they are without Zaha, it's bad. And they need to be able to fill that void, because he's not going to be there forever. Maybe he gets injured. More likely he ends up leaving eventually, but they need to be able to fill that void, and it's down to them to step up for that. So for Newcastle, it's kind of similar. I think they need defensive solidity. They've been a very solid team in the past. Lascelles, when he's not getting injured every game, he's been solid. He's had that decent partnership with Fernandez. Shar's been a bit iffy, but he's been pretty good. Their fullbacks have been doing well. Just stay solid defensively. Maybe Carl Darlow can make some saves. He's been great for him this year. Just keep doing your thing. Going forward, I think it's going to rely on Callum Wilson. I'm not even sure if he's going to be healthy yet, but if he is, he's going to be crucial for this team. His finishing ability is really going to... I think it's going to be him who's able to find the breakthrough in this game if there is one. Just has to take his chances. And next, I think multiple creative players need to step up. This is something I mentioned with Newcastle for a couple of weeks now, but you'll have like a Almiron game, a Josh Murphy game. Shit, wait. Is it Josh or Jacob? Oh my god, I always forget. One of those Murphy twins is going to have to step up, or Almiron, St. Maximin. Just have multiple of them have a really good game. God, there's Murphy twins. I always forget which one's which. God. And, that's about it for Newcastle. Hopefully they'll be able to come away with this win for their sake. And I'm just hoping it's not a 0-0 draw. I'm predicting a Newcastle win. I think that they've got enough going for them, especially with Crystal Palace missing Zaha. And he affects their defensive performance more than you'd think as well. But, yeah, I think Newcastle will be able to win this game. Next, we've got Liverpool against Brighton. And Liverpool, they're coming in great form, but with missing a few players. But I think the main key for them is just score, get themselves some goals. This has been a Liverpool team. Their defense, while they've been doing well, I don't think they feel completely safe with it yet, I guess. Just be able to find some goals. Jota, he's been on great form. Mane and Salah, they're elite. Firmino just picked up a goal recently. Maybe all that'll get thrown together. They'll be able to do well. Next, I really want them to dominate this midfield. This is a Brighton midfield that has shown a real ability to get into games. Basuma, Lallana, those two, they were some really good players. And if Liverpool are able to really just dominate the game, have the midfield in their control, I feel like they'll come away with the win a lot easier. And lastly, the defense. I think this is the first time I can really put in the key, because it's the first time I feel like confident in their ability. But Fabinho, Matip, they got to do well. Looks like it's going to be James Milner and Robertson. Just keep doing their thing. Keep it locked down. If they do that, I think they'll be able to do well. For Brighton, it's really interesting for them, because I feel like they've got to pick a style of play for this game. Because they did really well against the Aston Villa game by playing more defensively. I'm not too sure if they want to do that against Liverpool because inviting pressure from Mane and Salah and Firmino and Jota and Robertson, that's not going to end well. But at the same time, I feel like they could play them in their normal style, just trying to keep possession of the ball, and I think they would lose well, but I don't know. They're going to have to pick a style. I think trying to go forward might be the better idea, but it's tough to say. I think if they want to win, their wingbacks are also going to have to play well. Unfortunately, they'll be without Tyreek Lamptey, but Sully March has proven his worth. If he can get forward and have the better of James Milner and do well against either Mane or Salah, depending on who's available, I think that really ups their chances to win. And lastly, take their chances. They really were able to finally get a win last week because Danny Welbeck was able to score for them, and he's got to keep up that form. They got to keep being able to put away their chances because they are making chances for this team. The strikers just have to find goals. Overall, I think Liverpool come away with the win. I think Brighton could put up a pretty good fight, but I can't see them beating Liverpool. Next, we've got Man City against Burnley, and over-under an 80% possession for Man City. Just throwing that out there. So for City, I think their main thing is they got to convert their chances because they are going to have a bunch, but when they get the ball in the box, you're going to need either a Gabriel Jesus, De Bruyne, Sterling, Mahrez, Ferran Torres. One of them's going to have to put the ball in the back of the net. That's been a big problem for the City team. They've had players who have played well. Like, you look out of the game, it's like, oh, Mahrez, he didn't score, but he's doing well. Sterling didn't score, but he's doing well. They have to score, and it's not enough to look good. They got to put the ball in the back of the net. Next, just don't make mistakes defensively. I think that's the only way this Burnley team's going to be able to score against them. And they haven't been making too many mistakes outside of Walker's been making a few. But just don't make any dumb mistakes. And I think scoring early is a pretty big key because if you let this Burnley team really get involved in this game, I feel like they have a chance. It's not going to end well for them. So for Burnley, just same thing as every week. Defend. All they can do. Get it up to the big boy up top. I think it'll be Chris Wood, and hopefully Jay Rodriguez keeps his place. I've been liking Jay Rodriguez this year, and I think dealing with De Bruyne is probably going to be the biggest thing for them. If you can have Westwood and Johnson, all just midfield really needs to do well defensively because De Bruyne is going to be making some chances. Just make sure you deal with him. Overall, I think Man City are able to win, hopefully by 3 or 4. I'm not a fan of Burnley this year. They're the least fun team to watch, but yeah, I think Man City comes away with the win anyway. Next, we got Everton against Leeds, and might be the best game of the week. You got Tottenham-Chelsea later, but I think Everton-Leeds has got to be up there. I think the key for Everton, just get a foothold in the game. This Everton team has really been doing well with build-up play, keeping possession, making chances by having the ball. And I think if they are able to get a foothold in the game, don't allow Leeds to really dominate the ball, I think they have a much better chance to win. I feel like I say this every week, but feed Dominic Calvert-Lewin, because if you get the ball to him in the box, I think that goals will come. Calvert-Lewin's been on fire this year. Just keep feeding him. And I'm going to put Luca Digne as a key as well, because he's been so good going forward. His crosses have been great. I feel like he's a real key for this Everton team to really just get going. Also, he's got to do well defensively. These Leeds wingers are pretty good. So, I think Luca Digne is just a real key. So for Leeds, just keep doing your own thing, because don't change up your style. Just try to keep imposing your will. I think that if they just go at this Everton team, they'll be able to do well. Next, just convert your chances. Last week was so disappointing for them because they couldn't come away with the goal, but they're going to have to this week. Bamford is going to have to come up with a goal, I think. If Klitsch gets all those chances, he's going to have to put one away. Just got to find the goal. Last thing, especially with Dominic Calvert-Lewin in there, but it's been a pretty big issue all year. Just defend balls in the box a lot better because Calvert-Lewin, he's just such a big threat. And they've set pieces and just balls to the box in general. They've been a bit of an issue. I remember Jamie Vardy scored a header in the box against them, and that's something you don't want to see happen. I feel like it's been a problem for Leeds this year, and especially in this game, it could be exploited. So I think Everton come away with the win with this week. Leeds, haven't been converting as well, haven't been getting as many points as they'd like, and this is an Everton team that's really back to full fitness, and I think they'll be able to come away with the win. Next, we've got a big relegation 6-pointer with West Brom and Sheffield United. So, this is probably the two worst teams in the league this year. I think they are the bottom two. But, for West Brom, I think that getting possession in this game is going to be key. Because this Sheffield team isn't exactly lethal on the break, and I feel like if they have more of the ball and are able to create more chances, that the possession could really help them. And previously in the season, they have tried building the ball out of the back. Hasn't been the greatest, but I think against Sheffield it'll work. I think getting in behind the defense is another good thing. You have a lot of athleticism there with Callum Robinson, Dean Ghana, just those guys, especially Callum Robinson against his former team. Just keep trying to get in behind the defense. I think is a really good idea. When you got a guy like Mateus Pereira in there who can really creative player, I think they have a good chance to get in behind. And lastly, I think pressure Sander Berge, because I think he's the real key for Sheffield in the midfield. He's probably their best player, and if you can really take him out of the game, I really don't see them making many chances. So for Sheffield, I think the main thing, keep it tight at the back, because this is a West Brom team that not exactly the greatest going forward, but 3 goals against Chelsea. They're giving Manchester United a hard time. Just make sure you can do well defensively. I'm going to throw out a player that I think will really impact the game if he gets to play, Oliver Burke. He's definitely the most dynamic athlete on this Sheffield team. He's really created a lot of chances for them. He just hasn't gotten the playing time. This is against his former team as well. I think if you just put some faith in Ollie Burke, maybe allow him to get some width into this team, I think that he's going to be a key for them. And lastly, I think the midfield is going to have to take their chances, because the strike force isn't exactly lethal right now. McGoldrick's a bit of a hold-up play master, and I think he's probably their top scorer right now. Their midfield has gotten some chances in the past in a couple of weaker games they've played, and you got to have Norwood, you got to have Lundstrom or Fleck or Berger, whoever it is. I think their midfield's going to have to convert some chances. Yeah, those are the real keys for this game. Prediction is tough because just looking at this game analytically, I feel like West Brom have the better chance, but I just have a gut feeling that Sheffield is going to be able to come out with the win, so I'm going to be rocking with Sheffield United for this game. Next, you have Manchester United against Southampton, and Southampton, it's good. It's an interesting game. I think Southampton won this game last year. I'm not sure if it was the away or home game, but definitely the most recent one. And I think the key for Southampton is to establish their press. This is a Manchester United team that doesn't build the ball at the back well. In particular, Maguire, Wan-Bissaka, Pogba if he plays. Those are all some guys who I feel like really struggle with the press, and that was able to get them the win last time. And now you have Theo Walcott and Shea Adams in there, going to be able to press that team hard. I think they're going to be able to do well. Next, I think getting in behind the defense, as I mentioned with West Brom, I think that's going to be a good idea for them. It's a midfield a defense that isn't that athletic in the center. And you have Tejas and Wan-Bissaka, they like to get forward. I think the opportunity is going to be there to get in behind the defense, and even at his age, I think Walcott still got that speed. Shea Adams, he's definitely got it. I think that's probably their best way to score, if not coming from the press, which it easily could be. And lastly, defensively, keep the ball out wide. I feel like this is a Manchester United team that thrives off of having the ball centrally, but if you keep it out wide and force Wan-Bissaka to create, or maybe Tejas, just put him up to the challenge. If Dan James is in there, just keep it out wide. Try to clog up centrally defensively, but I think that's the best way to really keep a clean sheet against this United team. So for United, I think the build-up play in midfield is going to be huge for them. As I mentioned, this is a pressing Southampton team. They haven't dealt with the press that well in the past, but I think if they're able to build up well, keep the ball in possession in the midfield, it's going to be a lot easier for them to win. Next, just get the attack involved in this game because Martial has been invisible for a large part of the year, and he hasn't taken his chances when he's gotten them. So make sure you can just get the attack involved. I don't care if it's just kicking it up there, or maybe Martial should drop deep. I don't think he's been doing that much this year, but just find a way to get him on the ball. Maybe it'll be Cavani, but I think that's something you need to do. And lastly, don't give away any dumb free kicks, because James Ward-Prowse is there and he's a sniper, and you do not want to give him that chance. So I think that's the keys for the game. I feel like I'd like to pick an upset every week. I think Southampton have a good chance to win this game. You've got the pressing. Shea Adams has been on fire lately. Walcott's been doing well. I think that Southampton have a good chance to win. Next, we got Chelsea against Tottenham, and probably the game of the week. And this is going to be an interesting game. So for Chelsea, I feel like the key for them, lock down Harry Kane. Make sure you always have a man on them. Don't let him drop into that space. And don't let him free in the box either. But Harry Kane's been just lethal this year, but I think Chelsea have the ability to deal with them. You're going to have Conte will be starting. You have Kovacic was used a lot to mark Messi at Real Madrid. I'm not comparing Kane to Messi, but that might be something that you look to do, especially if he's going to keep dropping deep. But I feel like just those two players, just try to lock down Kane. Next, just win the midfield, because this is a Tottenham midfield that is much improved off last year, especially with Højbjerg coming in. But I feel like Chelsea have the ability to really dominate the game. I mentioned Kovacic earlier, and if you have Ziyech in there as well, I feel like they have the talent to really dominate possession against this Tottenham team. And I feel like dominating possession will lead to some chances. They've been able to score a lot more from possession this year. I think that Werner's going to be able to come up with a goal. I don't think he's been as lethal this year, but he's going to be there. Pulisic is back. Maybe he can come up with something. Abraham's always there. Callum Hudson-Odoi had a great game. I feel like if they have the ball, they have enough threats to come away with goals. Lastly, convert their chances. I mentioned Werner hasn't been doing the greatest lately. Just if you get a chance, Werner or Abraham, maybe like a Pulisic, a Mount, they got to be able to take their chances. Don't leave goals on the table, because Tottenham will definitely punish you. So for Tottenham, I think the defense is pretty key. This is a Chelsea attack that's very dynamic right now. Make sure you can stay with all the runners. Werner, his finishing hasn't been great, but I've loved his movement this year. Abraham's going to be another threat to deal with. You're going to have great guys like Ziyech, or maybe Pulisic will be back. You got to have everybody on top of their game. Dyer's got to be moving. There's got to be a lot of communication. Fullbacks are going to have to win 1v1s. I think the defense is just key for Tottenham this game. Next, going to put on a player, Højbjerg. I mentioned midfield battle's going to be huge for them. Højbjerg's going to have a good game if they want to come away with the win for Tottenham. He's been playing really well this year. If he keeps his form up, I think they can win again. Lastly, for Tottenham, I think getting going early is going to be huge for them. You see against United a while ago, I think a month ago, they were able to really just put their foot down on that United team and just crush them with just early chances. If you get Kane or Son a goal early, maybe Reguilón going forward, he's been great. But just, I think early goals is going to be key for them, because I feel like the longer the game goes on, the more Tottenham or Chelsea have a chance to win. So for Tottenham, I think getting a goal early is probably huge for them. Predicting this game, I think Tottenham come away with the win. They've been on such good form this year, and I can't bet against them. And honestly, they might be title favorites right now with how well they're playing and the injuries Liverpool are dealing with. So, I really think Tom's going to come away with the win. Next, we stay in North London as Arsenal face Wolves. Well, I think the game's actually at Chelsea, but Tottenham and Arsenal transition easily. So for Arsenal, I think there's some easy keys for this game. Forwards need to come with goals. Aubameyang, he hasn't been getting anything going. Lacazette hasn't been doing well. Willian, I'm not going to say he's doing well because I think he's an inconsistent player, but he's going to have to start finding his form. This is an Arsenal team that has just had such a dull attack. They need to find something, get that going. Next, their midfield's got to put up a fight. I felt like they really lied down against Leeds, really conceded possession. And this is another good midfield when you're going up against Wolves. Just make sure you can put up a fight. Like, you're Danny Ceballos, Granit Xhaka, even if Partey's missing, like, and have some pride. Go for the game, And lastly, find a lineup, because this is an Arsenal team that they've been switching the lineup so much, and when you look at title winners, you don't see that many different lineups. Like Liverpool, you know what you're going to get. Man City, like maybe they'd switch out like the wingers every now and then, but you knew what you're going to get. Like, just find a lineup. Make sure you find a lineup, find a formation. Saka's injured, so maybe just stick with the experienced front three, or maybe just throw in a Nelson or a Wilcock or whatever, but just start to find a lineup, start to find an identity as a team, because I don't feel like Arsenal have one at the moment. So for Wolves, I think winning the midfield is going to be key for them. Just be able to come away, dominate the game. I feel like they have the ability to do it. I'll be honest, I rate Ruben Neves and João Moutinho ahead of Xhaka and Ceballos. Maybe Dendoncker will be in there, I don't know. But I feel like if they win the midfield battle, they have a good chance of winning this game. Next for Wolves, I feel like I'm just going to call it Raul Jimenez. He hasn't been finishing that much this year, and honestly, a couple of his goals have really been fluky. But if he wants to be an elite Premier League striker, which I believe he has the ability to be, he's going to have to start scoring. I feel like this is an Arsenal game this is a game that he can really turn it around, start to get his season going, and really get Wolves going in general. Lastly, I feel like the fullbacks are going to have a good game defensively. Ed-Nouri, Semedo, they've both been at fault for goals in the previous few games. I feel like if they have to stay solid, because this is an Arsenal team that I don't give them too many compliments, but I've always said this year that their fullbacks have been great. And if it's going to be Tierney and Bellerin, this is going to be a threat for them. The width is going to be dangerous. Even Willian and Aubameyang, we know what they're capable of. So the fullbacks are going to have it's a huge game for them, and a real test for Semedo and either Ed-Nouri or Marcel, one of them, but I feel like fullbacks for Wolves are going to be key for them. So predicting this game, I'm honestly feeling a draw. I think it's the only game I have a draw for this year. It's a tough game to decide, but I feel like these teams are both kind of underperforming right now, pretty even. I feel like a draw is a fair result. Next, we got Leicester against Fulham. So Leicester, they're coming off of one of the worst performances of the year, losing 3-0 to Liverpool, but I feel like they have the ability to get going. I feel like creating for Vardy is going to be the big steal for them. They really weren't able to get Vardy involved at all, but I feel like they've got the ability, even if they have most of the ball. You've got Tielemans, you've got Madison, Harvey Barnes. Harvey Barnes has to be playing better. I should mention him because he was great to start the year, but he's got to keep that form up. But yeah, they have the ability to create for Vardy, and I think they'll be able to do it. Next, solid defense. This is a Fulham team that can really attack. Adolma Lookman, DeCorva Reed, he's an interesting striker to deal with. Kearney's been getting it going. Their fullbacks are dangerous as well with Robinson and Naina. But you're going to have to defend well. The fullbacks are going to have to do well. This kind of a makeshift defense until they're back fully healthy. I was looking up injury reports last week, but honestly, they're not reliable, especially in these times. But especially until everybody gets back, their defense is going to have to step up. With Evans, Fuchs, and Fofana, they're all going to have to do well. And lastly, just deal well with having most of the ball. This is a Leicester team that really thrives counterattacking, but I feel like Fulham are going to concede possession, and they're going to have to make chances with the ball. I think they're able to do that. You've got Madison, Tielemans, Barnes. I mentioned them all. They're creative enough to come up with a chance, even when Fulham are defending. I feel like that's going to be huge for them, just doing well with the ball. So for Fulham, limit early mistakes, because this is something I noticed with Fulham. I think I mentioned it in the recap last week, but they make mistakes to start games. They grow into the game, but at the start of them, the defense is kind of bad. Whether it's Anthony Robinson just dribbling right at a player and losing the ball, or Adebayo giving the ball away, Aina getting beat, just limit the defensive mistakes early. It's it's early. Like, not, I think 90% of it is just early mistakes that they need to take care of. Next, I think their defensive midfield is going to be huge. You've got Harrison Reed and Lamina are two guys who I really rate defensively, especially Harrison Reed. I feel like he's one of the top defensive midfielders. Not like as a complete player, but just his defending alone at that defensive midfield position. Saying defensive a lot. But I think those two guys are going to be key for them. Just being able to stop that creativity from Leicester in that midfield, maybe causing a break, that's going to be huge for them. Lastly, I think using their athleticism is going to be key for Leicester, or for Fulham. You got guys like Lookman and Cavallero out wide, maybe Robinson going forward. But I feel like they have the athleticism to really just get at this Leicester team, maybe get them behind them, maybe use their ability to take on players, but I feel like they can really find a way for their athleticism to shine through. Rating the game, despite all I said, I still think Leicester come away with the win. It is going to be a tough matchup for them. Just being able to beat teams that are going to set up defensively against them is going to be tough, but even if it doesn't end up like that, I feel like Fulham will end up really playing into Leicester's strengths eventually if it's 0-0. So I really think Leicester come away with the win. And last game of the week, we got West Ham against Aston Villa, and it's going to be a tough game for both teams. Both have been kind of inconsistent, but doing well. I think they're right next to each other on the table. So for West Ham, just keep scoring. They've been coming up with goals a lot. Hilaire finally found a goal, and I think they have the ability to really score. This is an Aston Villa defense that isn't exactly great. So I think just keep pressuring this defense, and maybe Antonio will be back. I'm not sure, but I think they have the ability to score. Next, win the midfield. This is a pretty decent Aston Villa midfield with Douglas Luiz, who's starting for Brazil right now. I think Ross Barkley will be out, but John McGinn and Hourihane, they're both some pretty solid players, albeit inconsistent with McGinn, but I think they have the ability to win the midfield because Declan Rice has been elite this year, and Thomas Souček is very good as well. I think winning the midfield will be key for them because just having more of the ball, there's an Aston Villa team that just, when you take away Grealish, I don't think they're that dynamic on the break, and if you can have more of the ball, make those chances, put pressure on the defense, I think that's going to lead to goals. Lastly, as I mentioned, Jack Grealish, you're going to have to deal with him. He is just an elite player, kind of similar to Declan Rice, the academy kid who is just an elite player on, well, honestly, West Ham and Aston Villa are competing for Europe this year, so I can't even say they're out of place. They're two teams that are doing really well, overachieving, and yeah, but Grealish, it's going to be tough to deal with him. Should be outright. I think Ryan Fredericks was doing really well to start this year. Maybe this is the game you introduce him, but do you really want to? That's throwing him into the fire. Focal, it's going to be tough for him. I believe it's computer messed up for a second, but yeah, I think it's just dealing with Grealish is going to be huge for them because if you deal with him, I don't think Villa are going to be able to create, and if you deal with him, you're going to win. So Aston Villa, get the best out of your team. This is a team that I think has been inconsistent all year. They haven't been really playing their best all the time, but you can see what they're capable of. You need to get the best out of John McGinn. You need to get the best out of Ollie Watkins. You need their defense to turn up. Like, all of those things are going to happen if they want to come away with the win, because this is a West Ham team that's been on fire. Next, defensive solidity, because this is a West Ham team. I mentioned they've been scoring. Aston Villa hasn't been the best defensively lately. I really want Tyrone Mings to step up. He's a player I think can. And lastly, just have somebody other than Grealish perform. Take some of the pressure off of him. Maybe it's John McGinn. I think he's the most likely guy. Trezeguet, I think he's been a bit of a weak link this year. Always think that, I should say that, I think he came up with a goal last week, or created one or scored it, but Trezeguet, he's going to have to step up. One of those guys, just take some of the pressure off of Grealish. But overall, I still see West Ham winning. They've been on great form. I'm really liking them. Declan Rice has been great this year, and really hoping for this. It's going to be a good game, I think. Fun Monday game. yeah, that's about all I have to talk about. Gonna be a fun week this week. And yeah, I'll see you.